ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I'm one of your hosts, of course, Adam Schwartz, and on today's episode, we'll be reviewing The Blackening. But before we get to any of that, I'm joined today, of course, by King Kool-Aid, Nathaniel Gingrich.
What up, folks? I'm King Kool-Aid. How's it going?
Do you like Kool-Aid? Are we Kool-Aid fans here?
You know what? I've never had Kool-Aid.
Ever?
Not
what?
Like,
Ever?
Come on,
Fuck out of here.
Like
that's absurd.
I like okay, so it was never a thing my family would buy or anything like that. I'm sure I've had it.
Right.
I'm sure I've had it at a friend's house at
Right.
some point or anything like that, but it was never a thing that was like around at our house. And I don't remember ever a specific time of me being like, "Oh, I'm going to go and buy Kool-Aid" or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, having a nurse for a mom, she was just like, that is pure sugar all the time. We're not giving it to you in drink form.
It is. My favorite memory I have from my childhood with Kool-Aid is, of course, when you're a kid, you run like a lemonade stand, right?
Sure.
And so my neighborhood, I don't know, thinking back to this is kind of wild. You guys, garage sales, they don't happen too much anymore. But, you just do some spring cleaning and go, someone might buy this and pay $2 for it.
Yeah.
So my neighborhood, coordinated where, 3 or 4 houses all did garage sales on the same weekend. And so, there was actually a decent amount of people there. And so me and, the neighborhood kids decided to set up a little Kool-Aid stand. And we were mixing the Kool-Aid, and we didn't have a ton left. I was like, guys, all we got to do is put in more water. And we just get more Kool-Aid. Less powder, more water. Genius.
Yeah.
No problems at all. And then we just sold really watered down Kool-Aid. I think at some point we realized this doesn't taste as good. And so we were like, we probably shouldn't do this anymore. But that was my business plan. And it worked.
Welcome to the drug trade.
yeah.
Yeah.
It worked for a little
Dilute your product. Who gives a fuck?
Exactly.
I just need the money.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what's crazy too is just that with that thought process is probably the worst thing you could have done. You're probably better off on the other end of that. Of just throwing a
100%.
shit ton of sugar in there
I
instead.
was just going to say,
And,
yeah.
you know what? We're fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just got a bunch of crackhead fucking kids running around all jacked up on sugar.
Oh, that was us. Yeah. No,
For
we
sure,
we
man.
were
That was my
we were the
childhood.
ones primarily drinking the Kool-Aid.
And you got into your own supply. You're bad at this.
I can never be a good drug dealer.
See,
man.
Yeah.
I was a Capri
Rule number
Sun
one.
kid.
Yes, I still kind of am a Capri Sun
So,
kid. The
yeah.
last time I bought Capri Sun, more recently than you'd think.
I never had
Yeah,
Kool-Aid.
I haven't brought Capri Sun in a while. No, so let me ask you this, Nathaniel. What about Kool-Aid jammers?
Similarly, it would have been the Capri Suns. I would never.
But you didn't even do those.
No, it was never any of those things. My parents are super strict about that shit. They were just for whatever reason, I could not have Kool-Aid or
Yeah.
those little
Oh, man.
those little barrel joints that had blue sugary thing
those
in
were
the
crack,
Yeah.
bro.
yeah. I always wanted to try one of those. Couldn't have one of those either. Basically, I was a
Oh man.
what was the word I'm looking for? Neglected child in that sense. I was not allowed to have fun things to drink, which just means I drink beer now. Maybe that's what I'm trying to. Maybe that's the hole I'm trying to fill.
right.
We're getting introspective early here, folks.
Yes, we are. Also joining us today, it's Trespasser Tyler Vidalis.
I'll trespass anywhere the fuck I want.
What's the most dangerous or wild place that you should not have been that you've broken into?
I've broken into?
Not broken into, but if you trespassed, everyone's done a little bit of it.
I don't know if I count trespassing as breaking in. 'Cause
All right,
technically,
you know
if it's
what
a
I'm
field or
saying.
a piece of property, you don't really have to break anything to get in.
You could hop a fence, that's breaking in.
Urban exploration,
Yeah.
man.
Going for
I
an
don't
urban
know, man.
hike.
We used to go pool hopping. You ever done pool hopping?
I know kind of what you're talking about. You just go into the pool after it's closed.
Yeah, but in your neighborhoods. You just literally go from neighbor
Oh.
pool to neighbor pool.
That's
You
actually
find
hilarious.
everybody who's got a pool and you just hop their fence and somehow like find your way on their roof and just jump off?
Oh,
you guys won't do that
the
stuff?
roof. Yeah, no, I never jumped off the roof into a pool. How many pools are in Woodstock?
I mean, you'd be surprised.
Okay.
Arizona, that would just be going house to house.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had to like map it out. We really had to know because like my buddy,
That was the
one of my buddy's
challenge. It wasn't
grandmas had a
jumping in or
pool.
Yeah,
breaking in.
it was an
It was
endurance.
finding the pools was the real fun.
Yeah, for Tyler,
It's all about the
those-
journey.
In Arizona, it's an endurance challenge because you're just immediately pool after pool after pool. You try and actually jump from one
Yeah.
pool to the next one
Yeah.
is the thing.
Oh, that's so funny.
So and then most of us wouldn't like bring our suits and stuff, so we were just running around neighborhoods, fucking naked. So
What?
Oh, okay.
What like
that part.
1940s little rascal ass like neighborhood did you grow
bro,
up
we
in?
were
dude?
fucking just we were terrible.
Yeah, that sounds like some badass kid shit for sure.
Yeah, we were wild, bro. We didn't give a
For
fuck.
sure. Yeah. That's cool though, man. I mean, that's part of growing up, man. I've got my
Oh yeah.
fair share
Yeah,
of
dude. Like
stories
there
that
used to be like one
haven't
of
done
those
pool
like
hopping, but I've done a lot of bullshit.
dude, like again, there was like one of those self-storage places behind like my mom's duplex when we were growing up. And
Mhm.
my same buddy who's like still like this guy is not like a piece of shit now. He's like a stand-up citizen and he's like one of my boys. Like he's my forever boy. Like I've known this kid since we were like literally like we came out together.
Mhm.
And he's like we're still like best friends. So he's like day one, but like he's the one that like we just always found ourselves in like random shit. But we used to go back to this self-storage place and like break shit, throw rocks and stuff. We didn't care. We just didn't care.
Yeah.
So
Destructive tendency.
So trespasser tie is really fitting.
yeah, we're fucking trespassing.
Okay,
Better
okay.
watch your shit.
Okay. Well, I will.
I'll come trespass right now.
I don't have a pool, but you're welcome to jump in my grass.
Trespass, you know what? Random memory.
Uh-huh.
Do you know the song "This Land Is Your Land, This Land Is
Yeah,
My Land"?
I do.
You know that they like how they always have you sing it in like elementary school and
Of
stuff
course.
like that. You know why they never have you sing the second verse?
No.
Because it becomes
I
like
assume it's got to do with like colonization.
no, it just becomes like a real
No.
thing. It's like way more like this land belongs to all of us. It should be for everyone. Like I can walk onto your property and do whatever I want, kind of thing. Like it gets way
yeah.
more like this land is for everyone. You know, it's all public land, kind of thing.
I still sing that song.
It one of the like all time. Like I feel like I had to have like sung it at school assembly 3 years in a row for some
Yeah,
reason.
probably.
Like yeah,
I sing it about like Call of Duty now though. Like when I'm having a bad night or like when I'm not feeling it. I'm like, this game is your trash. This game is my trash.
like,
So
you have the
that's
rhythm.
how I use
The
it.
the tune is in your head.
Yeah, it's that and This Little Light of Mine. I'm fucking. That's like
Oh,
that's a
man,
banger, dude.
Yeah, don't get that stuck in my head, please. Because it will. It already is. Rounding out the squadron, of course. It's big board game BlakeHolder.
Hey.
Is this the first
Blow it
time
up.
you've been board game? What was bodies did we do? Oh no, I
Probably.
think it was just big bodies.
think we
I was
bodies,
gonna
bodies,
say
bodies,
bodies.
bodies,
Yeah.
Sure,
Why do I
yeah.
feel like we did big board game Blake at some point? What did
I don't think so.
okay, probably not then. I could be tripping.
Maybe you're thinking of like boardroom.
Did we do boardroom Blake?
I don't know.
Oh, we
but
did for American Psycho.
Sure.
I think so. If I had to guess. Or no, I
Possibly,
think I did
yeah.
Bone White Blake because of the business cards. Or maybe I
Great
did.
scene.
I don't remember.
by the
dude.
way.
Oh, that's
Great scene.
fantastic scene. Regardless, big board game Blake. What's your favorite board game, man?
Ooh,
I kind of miss playing board games.
that's tough. Haven't
Can you
played
just
a
not
lot.
have one?
Yeah, I don't think I've played a lot of like board games recently. I feel like the games I play more often now are some type of like card games.
Okay.
Like Cards
Even
Against
not ne-
Humanity or some shit.
Yeah, right. So not necessarily with like a deck of cards, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe if I'm with friends like drinking or something, but more so like card games
Sure.
or even something like kind of how they point out in the movie. I mean, maybe not something with like fucking blackface on it in the middle as a joke,
yeah.
but definitely like something that's like a black cultural relevance card game. something of that nature, right? And the questions are things to do with like TV shows, various movies, actors, musicians, things of that
Gotcha,
nature.
gotcha. Like one of those trivia things, kind of.
Man,
Yeah, like you get those
correct.
trivia boxes. My mom puts one in me and my brother's stocking like every year.
the
And it-
stranglehold that Seen It had
Oh.
on the video game and the board game industry for
Yeah.
about 3 years there.
oh, we still have our CNETs.
They're like, we could.
You guys want to play? We should do that one day. That'll be a Patreon episode one
There
day.
you go.
Back Row
We
Banter
play
plays
Seen
CNET. Oh God.
I say
You guys
seen
ever-
it.
You guys ever play
would.
Pictionary?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Not big fans, huh? Doesn't seem
Not a
like it.
huge fan of Pictionary.
Eh.
Wasn't my
That's
favorite.
one I grew
growing
up on.
I grew up in a Monopoly household. We had a lot of time on our hands.
we
We did
play
not play games.
You were jumping in pools.
we play board games. We had a version of like Trouble or
Is that the bubble one? That one was so much fun.
well, sort of, yeah, but like we put
Get into trouble.
yeah, or like the like the other version of it was concentration, but like my dad's dad had made a board out of like a what's the word I'm looking for?
2x4 or plywood.
No, not plywood. It was like a formic, like it was a tabletop.
Oh, okay.
Like he had like a spare tabletop, and then he like drilled divots into it so that you could play with actual marbles and everything
Gotcha.
on there, and then you would play with it. So he had like
That's
a
cool.
handmade board game that we would play. That was our board game that we played a lot of, but the rules were the same as Trouble. I think it was. Yeah.
Why did the little bubble that you push in the dice rolls itself? Why did that never catch on? Because that honestly might be one of the top 5 most satisfying
It
things.
was
in the
your
world.
innovation.
Yeah, dude.
the-
You push it down and then it just like pops back up and then it rolls it like pressing that down, pushing. I gotta go
was
home
it
and
was,
find my
was
trouble.
it similar to the boggle mechanism where you would press it and all the
Better.
on all the little things you would
I
go?
think it's better than the boggle mechanism.
fair enough.
I think trouble might
What was
be
that?
a top tier
What was the
mechanism
one-
in all of board games.
Did you ever get the one that was on the little timer and you had to fit all the little pegs into it, and if you didn't do it,
yeah,
it
it
would,
should out. Right?
it would like
they, like, explode
what was that?
everywhere.
It was called like aggravation. Why did my parents get me just games that were designed to annoy me? Were they just testing my patience early?
No,
Was
they
that
were
what this
developing
was?
OCD early on or something. I
Yeah.
don't know. They were.
What was
testing.
what was the joint called where you're like a doctor and you had to like
Operation.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was awesome. That was
Stressfulness, the game, basically.
for sure. But played that a ton growing up.
Anxiety,
But like, what
the
would you
game.
classify that? Is that technically a board game?
Yeah, I would say so.
I guess, yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what else would
Okay.
you classify it as if not a board game?
Yeah, it's certainly not a card game. So yeah, right. Anybody play Hungry Hungry Hippos?
Fuck yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I ran that shit to the ground.
Yeah?
fellas. I broke that game like 4 times. My
Oh,
mom had
that's
to
funny.
continuously buy it all. Yeah, she was pissed.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I also am still a big chess guy. I like chess a lot.
I played a lot of checkers as a kid, and is
I
it
don't know.
Chinese checkers with the marbles that you keep moving?
Yeah.
That's
Anybody ever played that?
yeah.
oh,
Yes,
there's
yeah.
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 There's also
I used to play that too.
Go, which is very popular in Asia. It's like
I
I mean,
don't
I
think
also
I know that.
played like old school game. I used to play like jacks at my grandma's house.
Mm.
You fucking. And then there was another one we used to play too. I don't remember.
bring board games back.
I don't think
Meh.
so. I think for like certain, like they're,
They're
still
still- they're
always
still
pretty
kicking.
strong.
They're
yeah.
still kicking. Hasbro's around.
We were at my future brother-in-law's, my sister's fiance's bachelor party, and they put something up on the TV, and it was basically like kind of like Cards Against Humanity, but like you do it all through like your Xbox or some shit, and
Mm.
people just tune in with their phones and give their answers.
Oh yeah, what is it,
And-
Jackbox
and-
or whatever?
Interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's definitely.
Guessing the wrong guy.
I've played versions of that before as well too, and things like
Yeah,
that.
so I was like, that's pretty cool. I
Yeah.
was like, all right,
Yeah,
cool.
Get
Cool.
Asian
New
with Brian.
kids. All right, there you go. New kids on the block. All right, I'm sorry.
No, you're good, bro.
It's a
You're-
great song too.
It is a good song. All right, let's move on in here to what everyone here is here for. A review. Nathaniel, if the listener here is new, or maybe they've just forgotten.
Mm.
Can you give them a rundown of how our review segment works?
You think they want a rundown?
I mean, it wouldn't hurt.
A rundown, you say?
A little rundown, run them up, run them down, you know?
Okay. Well, if you would like a rundown, the way the review segment works here on Back Row Banter is it is split into 2 sections. There's the non-spoiler section, and then there's the spoiler section. It's pretty self-explanatory. In the non-spoiler section, we'll go over the IMDb page, who wrote it, who in it, who's in it, who directed it, all that good stuff. We'll go around the squadron, decide if we would recommend this movie. Has to be a yes or no. There is no nuance on the internet. And from then on, it'll be spoiler time. We'll play a spoiler noise so you know that the spoilers are coming. And if you don't want to have anything spoiled for you, go ahead and skip over, but do come back and check the show notes to see when it will not be spoiler time anymore, so you can hear the rest of our review and see where we rank it up on the entropy list and finish off the rest of the episode. Adam, tell me about The Blackening.
I would love to. This is a new movie, of course, rated R with a runtime of 1 hour and 37 minutes. The perfect runtime for any horror movie. You go too much longer than that, you're running into trouble. Unless you're Ari Aster.
So says you, yes.
Addendum.
Just saying.
Ari Aster.
Say it with your chest.
I don't know. You can go over. Just be careful. You tread into thin ice once you go past 190 or 90 minutes.
Particularly in horror movies.
Particularly in horror movies, yes. With an IMDb rating of 6.5 out of 10. Directed by Tim Story, written by Tracy Oliver and Dwayne Perkins. Starring, we got Antoinette Robertson, Dwayne Perkins herself, and Sinqua Walls. There's no second.
Don't look at me for pronunciation on
man.
this one.
There's some Grace Byers. This one just says X Mayo.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing too.
Yeah. Melvin Gregg, Jermaine Fowler, Yvonne, is it Orhi? Or Ori? I don't know. ORJI.
I'll be honest, I got distracted by X Mayo.
Yeah, it says X, the letter, and then Mayo. Yvonne, I don't want to say it's Orgy, but it's ORJI.
Looks like orgy.
Yeah, it kind of looks like Orgy. Maybe it is.
Orgy? Orgi?
Orgi? Oh, Orgi. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Jay Farrow, James Preston Rogers, and Diedrich Bader. That is our complete cast. It's a small one, which is nice for me because I don't have to worry about if I missed anyone.
True.
The IMDb summary reads as follows. 7 black friends go away for the weekend and end up trapped in a cabin with a killer who has a vendetta. Will their street smarts and knowledge of horror movies help them stay alive? Probably not. I think you only need the first sentence.
I'd probably agree.
Yeah. I don't know why the other sentence is in there. Also, there's like some references to horror movies, but like it's not like Scream. It's not.
Yeah.
They do reference Scream,
right.
and it feels like Scream, and there's definitely Scream aspects pulled here in this direction. But I would not say it is like they need to be aware of like horror movie tropes and that kind of stuff. They don't really play. Into that too
It's
much.
not meta.
It's not meta in that sense at all, really. Actually, a little bit.
There's definitely a few
tad
meta
bit.
moments.
Yeah, there are some meta moments.
I guess true.
But not in the Scream sense where it's like all references to horror
baked
movies.
into the story.
Exactly, it's baked into the DNA of the movie. Really, yeah, not quite as heavy there. Is that it for the IMDb summary? Yeah, I believe that's it. What are we thinking here, guys? 6.5 is pretty solid for IMDb. Those tend to run a little lower than I think. You're like 6.5 is probably like a 7 out of 10 to 7.5 depending on what you're looking at. I pretty decent rating. I liked it. I think it was pretty solid.
Yeah, it's a movie that I feel like in some ways like I turned this movie I went to the movie theater and I was watching it and it came on and then 2 things happened. One, for the second time 2 weeks in a row, a name popped up on screen, and I just went, haven't thought about them in a long time. That's awesome that they're still around. That was Tim Story, which I always thought of from the Fantastic Four movies back in like 2006
Oh, he
and
directed
2009,
those. I didn't even
whenever
know.
that was or whatever.
Those
yeah.
those are my Fantastic Four, man. Talk about if there's a number 2 superhero. I mean, I know there's 4 of them, but like superhero movie to the Spider-Man trilogy, it's
For you?
Fantastic Four.
That's so weird.
Yeah, those 2
Yeah.
movies for me as a kid, amazing. I haven't watched them in years.
Yeah.
though.
I don't think I'm that high on them, but yeah, those 2 movies they have a ton of nostalgia
Yeah,
for me.
no.
And I even see them pop up on my YouTube a lot. I don't know why. The past like month, I've seen the Silver Surfer and all his scenes with Jessica Alba on my YouTube shorts, bro, like baked into the fucking algorithms. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, it's pretty cool for sure.
Yeah, I don't look back on them with any sort of like great like fondness or
Yeah.
anything. Like they were pretty decent for me, but like as soon as I saw his name, I was just like, oh, like I felt comfortable with like where the movie was going and that it was like kind of in safe hands
Sure.
in some ways.
Wasn't
and-
like a first-time director trying to handle.
right, exactly. Yeah, and I
trying to
think
handle horror comedy.
yeah, I think that's the other thing too, was that this movie just like hit a niche for me that has really disappeared out of the movie marketplace
Yeah,
over the years of the horror comedy, and also like, you know, the $20-30 million mid-budget
right.
horror movie comedy or anything like that. You know, it felt like it was R-rated, like it was made for an adult audience, and that it was supposed to be 90 minutes, and that was it. And like,
Yeah,
I don't know, just to not have it like kind of,
it doesn't have to be a blockbuster. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
a breakout success.
and it doesn't have to be a PG-13 movie to
Right.
make money,
Right.
because they need to appeal to the teenage
Right.
audience as well too, kind of thing. Like, I don't know, all of those things
Right.
made me just kind of be like, feel very, I don't know, like it itched a nostalgic scratch I didn't really knew
Sure.
I had in some ways.
I definitely got the same kind of feeling now that you kind of put words to something I was feeling in the theater. I should also qualify. I just got out of this movie.
Sure.
Probably an hour ago. So I'm fresh out of this. So, I haven't had a
Yeah, that always
ton
gives
of
a little
time.
different context.
It does,
You
yeah.
can't digest the film.
I haven't had a
and you're
ton of
just out
time to
there.
digest, so I'm
Yeah,
still kind of
for sure.
letting that sit and settle. But yeah, that's definitely something that you kind of put words to something I was feeling in the theater. It reminds me a lot of Bodies, in terms of its like kind of vision for like, oh, it's got a target audience.
Absolutely.
It's got a certain
Yeah.
budget.
Sure.
It's got a small cast. And then so in the themes of, or not themes, the genres kind of line up in that sense, and everything like that. So that's
Absolutely.
also what I was thinking of while watching this. And then of course Scream, as we mentioned, it pulls a lot from that, and like that is kind of the OG horror comedy. So you kind of really can't do any of this without. I feel like every movie like this is going to have to reference it in some way, or at least pull kind of some ideas from that. And you definitely get some of that here.
Yeah, I think that's it's definitely an interesting thought process on that side of things for that side of the Scream. I guess maybe I didn't get that as influence as much as some of the other movies on there, but yeah, I'm with you as well in, I guess, also kind of like the meta-ness of it as well too.
Mhm.
Blake, you look like you've been wanting to jump in as well too. Go for it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I would agree with you all for the most part, right? Especially in terms of the comparison to Bodies. So as watching it, that was kind of the quick comparison I drew. Scream was kind of there in the background, but it's from a holistic approach, right? It's not as horror driven. Some of the, spoiler alert, I guess, like some of the kills and things of that nature are very horror driven regard.
Sure.
So that kind of took me away from it, opposed to comparing it to Scream. But yeah, overall though, I think I liked it. To your point of just having films that have a target audience, and obviously watching this as a black male, right? It was pretty interesting to me, and it was really funny because a lot can hit me instantly, right? So seeing some of that stuff was pretty good. It's not groundbreaking by any means, right? So talking about cinematography and things that we're not sitting there and getting any of that out of this based off the budget provided. But when we're looking at just a film that knows what it is and to a certain demographic of people, I think it does pretty well for itself, similar to how we felt about Bodies. You know what I mean? For like, hey, this is the film that they wanted to make. They stuck to their guns and made it. At some point, I wouldn't say I'm like surprised this film was greenlit, but like some of it was like interesting. I'm like, wow, they really let this You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
that was pretty cool to see some of that. And yeah, I would just say overall, pleasant surprise. Liked it a little bit more than I thought I would. I would say that much. But yeah, we can. I'll jump into more thoughts on spoilers. But yeah, so far I liked it. Brief summary.
Tyler?
Yeah, I thought everything was I thought it was pretty good overall. I don't know if it's one of those things where it's like a recommend you got to go out and like see it now, but I think it's one of those things where like, if you're chilling and you're looking for something to watch, it's a recommend. So it'll be kind of it's going to kind of be hard to make that decision like 30 seconds from now.
Sure.
But yeah, I think overall, there was some good stuff that landed as, joke wise. And then I think there were some things that they could have done better just overall to kind of still play along. Like there's things that I think could have been funnier if they played them out different. But yeah, it's a fun movie. It's obviously something that you don't get all the time. So I'm glad that, they actually did it. And I didn't know this was rated R until like way later. So then I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. That definitely that's a different vibe. But yeah, overall, I think it's just one. I guess I gotta hear where you guys are at on your actual recommend or not recommend.
Yeah. One thing I would agree with Tyler on too is I guess, and maybe that's just being an adult where you don't really pay attention to ratings because it's not that important. You can see any film, but I didn't really know this was rated R either till I'm watching it, and I'm just watching like how many swear words they're letting out, like, particularly like the N word as well. Just like hearing that, I'm like, okay, it's to be rated R. This is way more than I thought it was gonna. So that was pretty cool to see that because yeah, I went in thinking it was like a PG-13 horror movie.
I kind of just assumed it was R, but I also just didn't know. I just kind of assumed it was going to be. So I wasn't too shocked when I was hearing all these curse words thrown around. And a decent amount of gore. Not too visceral, which I appreciated as someone who doesn't love body horror or gore.
For sure.
Yeah, not a ton of it. There is some, a little bit, but it's like not that bad compared to what I've seen.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I don't
compared to what I've seen.
Genuinely, maybe it speaks to me that any sort of gore or body horror just didn't even rate in my mind.
It's
for
all
this
that
movie.
aggravation you played as a kid. It desensitized you.
I don't remember anything being particularly bad in this one at all, or anything close. Really.
There wasn't anything.
I agree with Nathaniel.
Yeah, if you're
compared to Evil Dead Rise, this is rated G, man.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And for horror buffs, there is not going to be a lot of meat on the bone on the horror genre side of this side of things.
Leans more comedy.
It's definitely leaning way more comedy to the point that like, I didn't know going into this maybe what the tone was going to be. Like it could easily have, in my opinion, based on the trailers, been like almost as goofy as like a scary movie or something like that as well too.
Sure, right.
I
agree. I didn't know where on the spectrum we were going to be.
I didn't really know, and then I think it settled more somewhere kind of like closer to a Ready or Not or something like that as well too. Yeah, so I think that was a nice kind of. I thought it struck a pretty good balance on that side of things for a horror comedy in that sense. I thought the comedy side of it was also really funny as well.
I was just about to say there's some good jokes in here.
Yeah.
No, I definitely had a good time. I was in like the smallest theater the AMC had, and there was probably me and about, if I had to guess, about 8 other people.
Oh, okay.
And we were all cracking up.
Crowd for a Tuesday evening.
Yeah, it was probably no more than 10 for sure. But I think it was like 2 or 3 other groups of people. And we were all whole theater of the like 10 of us. All I could hear chuckles throughout the theater throughout most of the film. It was pretty good.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting it because on the smaller screenings like that, a lot of people just stay quiet. Even sometimes in big screenings, people just don't laugh when I think they should laugh, and I just laugh anyway because you guys suck. But this one, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Everyone's having a good time. Sorry, I cut you off there, Blake.
No, I was agreeing with you where I said I had kind of the same screening experience where I went yesterday. I think I had a 7:55 show or something like that. Crowd pretty small too, probably no more than 10 to people. But for the most part, though, you could hear like chuckles and giggling right as jokes are going on. So yeah, it was cool, and that's kind of what this movie is about, right? Is kind of like seeing it in a setting with other people, and like once you people are laughing too, you're like, okay, the movies did a job. Because as we hound on earlier, it's certainly not. I don't know. It's not Evil Dead Rise, as Adam said, right? It's not as close to Scream as you would have thought it were to be. But yeah, it's got some jokes with some good horror elements.
I'm gonna recommend.
Yeah, I think I'm a recommend as well too. It's just scratch. I don't think I was knew I necessarily had for right now, but I'm also with Tyler and like you don't have to run out and see this in theaters if you don't want to.
Yeah,
but
this would be honestly this would be a good movie to watch at home too with like family or friends.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
think it's appropriate scale too. It's not like you're missing anything with a bigger screen.
but at the same time, go out and support your local theater.
True.
It'd be a good date movie or something
Sure,
like that.
sure.
You know, like
Yeah, for sure.
it's go out and have fun. Go watch the movie. I recommend it. It's a good time.
It was a good time. Blake, you recommend as well, and Tyler, you are, but you're not super strong. Recommend, is that what it was?
Yeah, but like I feel like it defeats the purpose if I'm not one way or the other.
No nuance.
There is no nuance.
Yeah.
I think tough. All right, I think I'm just gonna pull the trigger. I think I'm gonna go with a not recommend just because you can enjoy this movie just as much from home than you can
Right.
with a theater viewing. And I think it would actually be more enjoyable with people you know in like a larger kind of group, like 5 or more.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the only reason why I'm gonna go with a not recommend, because I think this actually would be better in a better setting.
Right.
Yeah, fair.
Fair enough. All right. With all that being said, we're going to go ahead and head into spoilers. So if you've not seen The Blackening and do not want it spoiled for you, go ahead. Check the episode description. I've left a timestamp you can jump to where you'll be taken to the ranking of our movie, hop upon our glorious Entropy list. Nathaniel, what's our spoiler noise this week? I don't even know.
Let's see. What can we do this week? Anything fun? Oh, let me get my soundboard up here. How about this guy?
Ooh, little record scratch. Appropriate. There's a vinyl in this movie.
It's true.
Yeah. There's also like a creepy that thing on the thing on the board, the little blackface character himself is really
Yeah,
really
It
disturbing.
is creepy, really funny though. Like when I saw that was audible laugh of mine.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
they don't. When they're like, oh, okay, we're gonna be racist, redneck killers or whatever. They're just like, well, we're gonna lean completely into it.
Right. Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah. They did not shy away from it at all. Oh, Confederate flag.
Yeah.
Walking, looking at her weird in the gas station, all that thing. Which, like, hey, if you're gonna go for it, go
Just
for it.
calling the game the Blackening. Like,
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
racist even saying the title of the movie.
I know it's tough.
Yeah.
It was funny. I was like I said, a small screening, and I was sitting in the last row, and I went alone, and then like the movie, like we're Nicole Kidman,
Sure,
we're Nicole
yeah.
Kidman
The,
preview.
the national
The
anthem.
national anthem. Yeah, I'm on my feet with the hand over my heart, and a black couple comes and sits like one seat over from me, and I was like, God, they think I'm so weird. They think I'm so weird. Just a lone white guy watching The Blackening on a Tuesday night.
Well, I saw
Yeah.
the lone white
Or
guy.
you're just a guy who genuinely likes movies.
That's
You know
what
what I mean?
I
Which
wanted to
happens to be
lean
the
over and be
case.
like, guys, don't worry, I'm reviewing this for a podcast. Then that sounds worse.
I was the lone guy seeing it by myself at 10 a.m. So I just look like
You
an
had
absolute.
nobody in your showing.
No one in my showing. So yeah, I'm just a white
yeah.
guy watching The Blackening at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, like a complete psychopath.
You're the target audience,
Yeah,
Nathaniel. Don't
yeah.
worry, you're the target audience.
I'm just working through some stuff,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah. I've had to play aggravation as a kid. Anyway,
Yeah, it's
I'm not gonna lie. This movie, I had to like. It took me a second to get into it because the cold open, the movie starts and she goes, "Man, I do love a good fire," and then she's like talking to herself and stuff, and I'm like, this feels like dialogue, like it's not like, oh, these are characters talking to each other. I was like, oh, she's talking to herself. I was like, please let there be someone in the room. No one announces, I do love a good fire to an empty cabin. I was just like, oh, please. Oh, please. And like that kind of continued on until they get locked in. The group itself gets locked in and plays the Blackening for the first time. Like that, between the beginning of the film until then, I was like, ooh, this just feels clunky a little bit. And the dialogue isn't all that fleshed out, it felt like. And I also just wish they would have, like, I don't mind how they settled into it, watching it as a whole. But I felt like I couldn't settle in with any of the characters again until they got into that room, because it felt like they kept like teasing the guy being there already. It's like, that's what the cold open's for.
Sure.
Is we know the guy is at the cabin, and they did like 2 or 3 teases in between the cold open and them getting locked in for the first time, where I was just like, just let me get to know these characters, because right now I don't give a shit about any of them, and I don't get any like of the character dynamics and stuff. And like they eventually set it up, and it was eventually good, and we got going. But that first act was clunky, and so it took me a second to kind of get into it. But once I was in, once the movie actually gets going, I was feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. I think the first half, a lot of the jokes just didn't really land for me.
Right.
The second half of the movie was just way funnier in my opinion.
And Clifton too. Once Clifton arrives, is that was he was the highlight from his arrival to his death. I was cracking up, and so was everyone in my theater.
I love that they keep calling him just random black nerd character names.
Yeah,
every
that
time.
was funny for sure.
yeah. What is it, Earl?
I think she calls him like Carlton.
She calls him Carlton for the first one. Yeah.
The thing that really kind of pushed me away, other than like the humor not being there for the first half, was kind of like with what you kind of poked on, the character development. It was more or less the friendships. For some odd reason, they just didn't seem like relatable, or like they didn't seem like there was a ton of chemistry there.
That car scene was a little rough in the beginning.
Yeah, so the friendships that they were kind of trying to build between everybody, it just didn't really seem like they actually knew each other.
Right. So
100%. It just wasn't believable.
100%.
And then once they got to the latter half, it definitely settled in, which definitely helped me settle in throughout the second half for sure.
I wonder how much of that is like just production. Like those could have been, obviously we don't know, those could have been like the first few days of production when everyone is like just beating each other, and maybe it just took a second for them to kind of get their vibes together and get it going. Because 7 people all acting that closely together, all trying to share the screen, I'm sure it can be a lot. So I wonder how much of that was just like, everyone's trying to get their bearing on these first few days of production, and that kind of, the dialogue wasn't great to begin with and really suffered from the fact that no one could get a grasp on it. Could have happened. Again, those could have been the last days that they shot. I have no idea. Just,
right.
Those are things that could potentially happen with productions, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I agree with you all for the most part, where the first act's not really my favorite, but I think that's when I started to kind of realize like what film this was. I mean, I knew quote unquote black cinema, but then like watching like the first act, and I'm like, okay, they're like super leaning into this just between the way the characters are interacting with each other, right? And that was kind of like my eye-opening. Okay, I think I know this thing's kind of going, where you're just hearing the dialogue of them speaking to each other, talking about certain things. I was like, okay, I don't know. I don't want to say it's like a woke movie, quote unquote, because I feel like that's now a term used for anything like in a minority sense. So I don't want to quite put that on it, but I think that's when I started to realize like, okay, I think I know what this is going. It's like leaning all the way in to that target audience, as well as just having a ton of comedic relief in the back half.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't have as much of the first half issues as I think you guys are kind of having, but I think also for me, there was a moment in the cold open where like they're talking about Scream 2, and I believe it's Morgan says like something along the lines of like,
they can't afford.
Well, they couldn't afford the Omar Epps and Jada Pinkett Smith for the whole movie, so they just killed her off in the first bit. And then they like both
look at each other.
They looked at the camera or something too. They like
basically.
straight like down the barrel, and I was just like, okay, I know where we are, like, tone-wise
Yeah,
from that point.
For sure.
And from then on, I was way more kind of forgiving, where, like, once they started introducing characters, I was like, okay, this is the same as almost like Cabin in the Woods, where you have the jock, the joker, the virgin,
Yeah,
the
sure.
whore, and everything. And I was just like, but it's just with black characters as well, too. So that's why they don't necessarily have to have this crazy chemistry with one another, just because they're supposed to be just so blatantly representative kind of thing. But
a Breakfast Club.
yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think, again, for me, I was very forgiving of that a little bit earlier on, or kind of more clued into that, so I wasn't as like maybe not let down or disappointed, but like maybe a little bit more comfortable with where it was going with its tone overall.
Yeah,
That's
valid.
But yeah, I think for overall, like for a movie that was going to be a horror comedy with a black audience, it pretty much hit its nail on the head,
Right.
did its job.
Yeah.
Like,
About as good as you're gonna get.
yeah,
for sure.
like that, and that was really fun. Like, it was walking out of the theaters going, hey man, that was a fun use of 90 minutes. I'm glad I went and did that today, kind of thing.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know if I can ask much more of that from a movie in some ways, at a certain point too, you know?
I agree.
Maybe
yeah.
that's why like I'm looking at it a little more harshly. So I was scrolling through Netflix and I came across a movie that I hadn't seen in fucking years, but it's like it's one of my favorites, and I guess like back then I wouldn't have really known to call it like quote unquote black cinema, but you know, obviously as you grow up and you see more things, and now you know just the way that the world is today, it's cool that you can actually qualify at that. But like I watched How High, and
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I think Blake might be one of the only other ones that I don't know. Have you seen that, Nathaniel?
It's one I've seen clips kind of thing. You
Okay.
know,
yeah, I got you.
So
don't-
like
I don't think I've seen
that
that one.
was like growing up, that was like one of my like go-tos.
For sure.
And so like maybe that's why I kind of looked at this a little more harshly now, because you know, I that for me that's like peak pinnacle like black cinema.
Yeah, for sure.
So maybe that played into it a little bit subconsciously for me.
I think that's valid too. Like, it definitely does, you know, comes from a genre and comes from a thing that has a history. And, you know, I'm definitely not as familiar with that as most anyone in the black community would be, or anything like that, obviously, or anything like that. And so there could be, you know, there's definitely references I don't get, or jokes that go over my head, or
there are a
something like
couple,
that,
yeah.
you know, as
Sure.
well, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's almost part of like that's
kind of the
almost
point.
part of the viewing experience,
Exactly,
right?
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Why you go
because
to the
there's also
movies.
Right.
some- Yeah, for sure, for sure. So yeah, even to your point on that, and that's when I was able to like really be like, oh, like they leaned all the way into this. Like, I'm surprised this is greenlit, quote unquote, right? But I'm like, whoever the producer was and everything of that nature. And I know we kind of mentioned some of those names earlier, but yeah, they really gave the keys to whoever was driving this thing. Was of we can't do with this, right? So I feel like they just made a completely black film, quote unquote, and just put it out to the masses, and it turns out to be pretty good, right? Where there's comedic people who are black or African American, or even for the example of this podcast, right? There's 3 white males who were able to see it and was still like, hey, there was actually some shit in there that was pretty funny.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that just kind of lets them know that they were able to. I think that's them accomplishing the job, at least for what they set out to do.
Light-skinned Aunt Viv versus dark-skinned
Oh
Aunt
my
Viv
God.
had me rolling on the floor.
Yeah.
as well,
That
too.
was
The one that got me
that
was
was
like
funny.
the friends where
Friends,
they're
yeah.
they were like, well, I didn't see the show, but I know this guy was on it because of this. And then after the fourth
Yeah.
one, he's like, all right, so you guys did watch the show then.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
So that's a great point. And what's even funnier, like being black while watching this, like you're playing the game,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
while
sure.
they're
Oh,
doing it
sure.
to yourself. So when they're trying to like think of things, I'm like, oh, I don't think I quite know how many seasons they had dark skin and Viv on there before they had light skin and Viv. I'm like trying to play the game, guessing myself. But then the Friends one, which was probably the funniest one, because through with catch at the end, it was like, well, the answer should be like I don't know. I've never watched Friends. And like that's what
Yeah.
I was saying to myself. I was like, I don't fucking know. I don't think I've ever seen an episode of Friends in my entire life. So like when they were like naming people, I was like, oh, I'm surprised that person. So yeah, that was hilarious. And I think
similarly, like
that even kind of hits home.
the cold
Go ahead.
open when they were like, name a black character that actually makes it through the movie. I was like, fuck, man, I've seen so many horror movies and there ain't a lot. Like,
Yeah, my immediate answer was Daniel Kaluuya in Get Out.
yeah, I mean that's and
That
like
was my only answer.
that
I was like,
almost
I don't
feels
have
like
anything
cheating. Like you could just say Daniel Kaluuya and just like have a
Right.
50-50 hit rate in that
Right.
sense.
Right. And then once I like thought about it for a while, I came to the LL Cool J and what's the fucking shark movie?
Oh, Deep Blue Sea.
Deep Blue Sea.
I think
bro.
LL Cool J survives that.
He
Yeah, so
does.
that was like my second thought.
That is true. He does. I guess like The Thing as well too. Like you can argue that.
Oh yeah, no, the black guy does survive in that for sure.
But yeah, I also immediately was like, oh man, Night of the Living Dead. Oh shit, he like dies in like the last like 5 minutes or something. Like I immediately thought of a bunch of movies that where the black guy should have made it and like was near the end as well too. But yeah, that was one thing I definitely appreciated was you could play along in some senses.
Sure. Yeah.
Fucking Deep Blue Sea, bro.
Deep Blue Sea is
great
great.
movie.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Well, that was
also has Samuel L. Jackson in it, but he's
It does, yeah.
obviously
He gets
black
fucking
and he dies.
wrecked.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure. For sure.
that was the other thing I was gonna
Um,
say too is that it really, I don't know, like this movie really did, I feel like, just bring me back to like an early thousands time where we just had a lot of, I feel like, these style of movies too. Not necessarily like in terms of, I don't know, in terms of like content or anything like that, but just in terms of like, again, targeted movies with an audience in mind beyond just as many people who will pay to have a ticket as possible.
Yeah,
kind of
for
thing.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Did you all gravitate towards like any of the characters or like a favorite character?
Clifton
came
was
across?
hilarious, dude. The fact that
Okay,
they
yeah, you did
included
say
him
that,
and and it was just like I wasn't expecting to include like that kind of character in this because it's just like, oh, everyone else shows up and you kind of get in the vibes, and then Clifton just throws me for a loop because like the Breakfast Club situation, like I don't think he's even in the Breakfast Club. Like it's, I don't know.
Were
it was-
you not immediately suspicious of him?
Oh, I was. Oh,
Okay.
100%.
I was gonna say, was he immediately?
He
your,
was. Yeah, he was.
Like, yeah, within
scapegoat.
seconds, I was just like, that guy's in on this.
Oh
like,
no, 100%. Yeah, no,
Okay.
but his character was hilarious.
Yeah, yes, yeah,
Like
yeah.
as a character, I couldn't stop laughing at the things he was saying. But yeah, that he was hilarious to me.
No, I thought some of the physical comedy ended up being a lot better than I was
Yeah.
anticipating as well
what
too.
was that? What was that one guy's name? The guy who gets hit with a bunch of arrows.
The character's name is King. King,
Yeah.
King-
Melvin
When
Gregg.
it's talking about when they're boxing outside the river.
Yeah.
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 I don't know if you guys noticed, but when he gets hit by the two arrows and then she stabs herself with his arrow, what's his face? Namdi.
Yeah.
It gives the girl his shirt, even though one like went straight through him. He stops the bleeding on her instead, and I'm just like, what the hell? It's so funny. And there was like a couple things like where she like grabs the pillow while he's laying on the couch. I'm like, damn, this guy's going through it. The whole Adderall bit was pretty good. I thought. I don't know why they included it or felt the need, but I thought it was just funny.
I loved the telepathic looks
Yes,
as well
yes, I was
too.
gonna
Yeah,
mention
that was funny,
That
for
was
sure.
good, and the guys get it at the end, and then you think like, oh, okay, that's cool that they get it, and then you look over and Clifton's in on it too. You heard what they were saying.
Yeah, that was awesome to kind of see that come full circle because they opened that in the opening scene or after the cold open, right?
Yeah,
Where the two
basically the
girls
opening, yeah.
and then the gentleman, I forgot his name, but they're driving over there, and then that's when you kind of see like that internal monologue they have where they're speaking to each other, and then like you see it happen on so on and so forth, and obviously you can just assume that's just something that just applies to black people.
Yep.
And then it kind of happens at the end, and like it's almost like you forget the other person standing right there is black. So it's like obviously I hear everything you're fucking saying. You're looking directly at me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was definitely cool to see come full circle.
Oh, then they referenced the Kool-Aid giving you cramps like 4 times as well.
And then it comes through,
Yeah.
and then he's like, I cramp. That was good, man. That was good. Yeah, there's so many just like good small bits all over. I'm trying to think of like there was one that got a really good laugh.
It's gonna be one of those movies too that like you'll watch again, whether it's like 6 months or 8 months from now, and you'll pick
Right.
up on a joke that you did not hear the first time.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, it's it was very relatable in a sense for me because like I know somebody like every single one of those characters.
That's what
Outside of probably the Clifton character, I think that's like a very not stereotypical because it's almost like the exact opposite of that, and I don't know that word off the top of my head. Juxtaposition, I guess.
Juxtaposition. I don't think that's how that would. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Explain
not
what you're trying to say, and maybe I'll think of it.
Like I know somebody like all of those characters, those like they're quote unquote like stereotypical
Right.
people you would come across who are black, right? Outside of the Clifton guy, I think he's the guy that's like, oh, like that's totally abnormal. That's not what we quote unquote should be like. Right. So like I know everybody else like those characters outside of him. So that made it pretty relatable to me because I'm like, oh, I can see pretty much almost all these things at any given time for the most part. Some of them obviously are a little exaggerated. But for the most part, like, yeah, those are things I could see coming about any time. And even just a huge comedic relief, in my opinion, at the end is realizing why they're like, Clifton, why are you doing this? Da da da. And it just turns out just like he fucked the game of spades up, which is hilarious.
You don't play
like,
spades
like,
in
that's
Vermont.
a massive sin. Yeah, like the black community for sure. It's
Oh
like
my
that was
God.
just hilarious that was even the reason for it.
Yeah.
What he said he reneged on the spades? Was that
Yeah,
what the phrase was specifically? I didn't
Correct.
quite
Yeah,
understand
and
why what exactly he had done to fuck up the spades game. I knew
Yeah.
that he fucked up the spades
So-
game.
Yeah, that's a great point. So he did fuck up the spades game, and what's even more funny too, and I'm laughing while watching this movie, is that like I really don't know how to play spades either. So as they're sitting there trying to break it down to him, and they're like, "No, fuck that. I'm not going to teach you. You have to just pay attention and watch, or you'll never find out." That's
Yeah.
pretty much how I've had to learn spades.
Sure.
So basically, to my understanding, I think you always have to follow suit. Not like I don't think it's like blackjack, but
Uno.
I think if
Uno's
you
kinda
have
like
the
that. You can follow
opportunity
color.
to follow suit, I believe you have to do it.
Got it.
Right. So if there's
Okay.
diamonds down, you have to put your diamonds down. And then
then-
if you don't do that and like a bluff, but it turns out you actually do, you've reneged. So now basically
You fucked up the game.
you have to like forfeit all your cards. Yeah, you
Yeah.
fucked the game up. So
Got
like that's like the worst thing you can do. So that can happen from like you maybe not paying attention when you know what I mean?
or you don't know
Talking
the
to somebody
rules.
else, grabbing drinks, or you don't know how to play.
Yep.
Which is a complete contradiction because nobody black is going to teach you how to play spades either. So yeah, so that was funny to see come full circle. I was like, wow, this guy went on a killing spree from spades.
Wait, Blake. So how do you play spades?
I really don't know. So that was so funny, dude, when they were talking about
What
that.
was it that
And I was just like, yeah.
Dietrich Botter said too? He's like, if I got an invitation to the cookout, I wouldn't
Yeah, I was just
go."
about to bring that up. I was like, that's such a good.
Oh,
line.
talking about the
the
policeman?
the park
Yeah, the
ranger.
park ranger, yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
I wouldn't go even if I got invited.
Yeah,
It would be
not
a-
because
yeah.
not because it would be weird that I'd be the only black or white
white
person
person there.
around black people, but
I'd just be a disturbance to the environment or something like that.
Yeah.
Just a disturbance to the vibe or the
Yeah.
peace or whatever you said.
Like,
Yeah, it was
yeah,
so
that's
funny.
actually a
For
pretty
sure.
damn good
Yeah,
answer.
yeah, it was good. That was a good bit.
Yeah, so that was funny. Then even to your point where you're like as the viewer, you're like, oh, that's a pretty good answer. Then even the character's like, oh no, he's
Yeah.
got a good point.
Yeah, exactly.
So like seeing those types of things, it's almost like that's when the film becomes like
Yeah.
self-aware of itself.
But then when
Right,
he's
and
like,
you
all right,
understand
follow
those
me,
jokes.
and they pick the weapons back up.
Yeah, that was dope. I was
Such
rolling
a good
at
bit.
that part too. Yeah, all of them all at the same time.
Yeah.
Go back down
Yeah.
and pick them back up.
Yeah.
And even the little stinger at the end. Did you guys get the stinger? Did you stay for that?
The fireman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
think
did.
So
There's like
What
a
happened?
mid post credits or
yeah,
like a.
yeah, so it ends on the joke of like, how are we gonna call?
Are we
or,
gonna
like-
call the cops?
yeah,
and
like
everyone
basically
laughs?
we can't call the police.
Right.
Right.
So then afterwards, Dwayne says, I have an idea. I know who we should call. And then it like kind of ends for another few seconds. Then it comes back a second later. And then they're like, see, because the firemen, they don't have guns.
They can't.
And yeah.
Okay, so we can call the fire.
So they call the fire
And
department.
then it just ends with them getting like just a fire hose effect, spraying all 7 of them across, like off screen.
Okay.
Like,
Right, yeah, they get
afterwards,
sprayed
dude.
with a fire hose. It was really good. A really good little
That's
bite
funny.
at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, yeah, from the horror element, we definitely know. Like, I think we all thought Clifton was in on it.
Oh yeah.
We definitely thought the 2 white guys who were at the gas station were
Yep.
totally the villain. But like that, the film is like setting that stuff up for sure. This is a
100%.
super
Yeah.
cliche horror movie. Like they even said, they're like, yeah, we're going to a cabin in the woods for a Juneteenth like party. This is a fucking terrible idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So.
And as I'm
I
watching it, I was like, oh, that's so lazy. Like, yeah, I can see that those guys are going to be the killers, and I can see that Clifton's in on it. But, like, you don't need, like, that's not the point of the movie. Like, it's not supposed to be a complex horror movie where, like, oh, I didn't see that coming or anything like that. It's like, it doesn't,
Exactly.
it's okay if it's on the nose. It's supposed to be. So it's fine. It's not like Scream where like you generally don't really know who the killer is. Like it really could be anyone. They just kind of hide that information from you until it's one of the people on the screen. It's hard to kind of suss it out. And this one, it was just like, okay, I kind of see all this happening, but like that's not what I'm here for. I'm kind of leaning in towards the comedy, and so it didn't bother me as much as it like as I'm sitting, I'm like, it's you know, kind of lazy, and then I'm like, oh, that's not the point. It's not lazy at all.
No, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, and I still do think like it was funny. I mean, I was able to laugh at a handful of jokes, probably a few more jokes than you all did. But the fact that you all can be 3 non-black people, right, and be like, oh, there are still jokes I got, and I actually found them. That's a win-win.
You know what? I will be honest. Like I was nervous walking into this. Like I'm like, how heavily are they going to lean into this? You know, this stuff where like, am I just gonna miss like half the jokes? Like I just wasn't sure what the film called The Blackening. Like I just wasn't sure like how heavy they were gonna lean into it. I'm glad they ended up where they're at, where it's like, oh yeah, I definitely missed some stuff, but I still enjoyed myself, and I think that's the perfect spot to be.
Let me ask you this then: what jokes do you think, or what jokes did you audibly miss to the point where like you said there were?
Oh, I do know one.
Or it may be more difficult for like Nathaniel to hone in on the jokes he missed because there was no one else there to provide any context.
True.
Right?
No one really
like just out of curiosity, if you remembered any of those.
No one really laughed at this one too much, but when she sings the second verse I forgot what the song was. What was the song?
Oh yeah, it was like the Black National. It was the Black National.
Yeah, what was
I don't
that?
know.
That
I
she
didn't
sang?
know that.
Okay,
song
you didn't know.
myself either.
Okay.
So as the
I was
question, as the game is playing, and the blackface guy asked, I'm like, oh, that's a great question. I don't know. And then like I start to like go through the possibilities, and then she starts singing. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't recognize.
So yeah, I couldn't tell you. So I don't know if that's. I couldn't tell you because I wasn't aware of it. And I feel like I was pretty aware of most of these things. And you even said there's people in your theater who didn't really catch up on it. And my theater the same. I think that may have been something was something that was just very against the grain for jokes, right? And because also the person who was able to answer that was racial. So that's kind of how I took that.
She was the biracial one, you said? Oh, you cut out for just a second there.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Correct. Where the only person who was able to answer that was somebody who was biracial. So I think that just kind of took to me where, I don't know, maybe I'm just jumping super far into this thing, but like, I don't even know if that was the correct answer in the game sense.
Sure.
Right. I think it was just something to kind of like do for the movie and the audience, right? Where everyone's just kind of like, oh, like that.
No one's going to know that.
She's talking about. Yeah, exactly.
I didn't catch if it was a story reason or what, or why Dwayne threw up at the end.
Oh, he said he throws up when he gets nervous the first time they enter the game room.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, if you didn't
And I
pick
think
up
he's
on that,
on
I'm sure
some
you're
type
probably
of
like,
drug.
why?
Is he on Molly?
He's on Molly.
He is on
ecstasy or
drugs.
something
Yeah,
like
that was the other
Yeah.
thing was that I forgot was just half the characters are on drugs the whole time
Yeah,
as well.
they didn't play into it as much as I thought they would, because I don't know. That was like, that's an interesting inclusion. I don't know. And also they're like, let's do drugs and play board games. I'm like, okay, I guess.
Right, which I guess like
Yeah, I
I
agree.
guess for me too, I was just like, playing board games kind of feels like a white thing to do as well.
it-
Too.
well,
Like,
yeah.
was that kind of also the joke as well?
Maybe.
Like maybe
No,
that was one thing.
I think I think so. And I think that also goes back to the point where you're like, okay, well, I think playing board games is quite a white thing. We were talking earlier, like, have I played any board games like as an adult and things of that nature? And I'm like, well, I guess not really. More so in games like something to do with like trivia card game.
Sure,
And I think
yeah,
that was kind
yeah.
of their play on something like this, which
Got
is
it.
obviously to the max with somebody in blackface on there.
Got it.
But yeah, so I do think that's part of the joke.
Yeah, and then I thought the game itself was just incredibly insane, and like it's another one of those things where like you don't question exactly how they're able, like how everything works, or like if it's another movie where if you thought about it for long enough, you could definitely pull threads and find out how things would fall apart. But you know, it's not that kind of movie there
What's
too.
the point?
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
no point.
Yeah, it's not that deep.
So should we finish up our review and get
I'm
on outta
down.
here?
Yeah, let's get on
Done it.
over to the ranking segment. Welcome back, listeners who skipped over the spoiler segment of the podcast. We're gonna go ahead and intro the Blackening up upon our Entropy list. For those of you who do not know, the Entropy list is Back Row Banter's official list of all the movies we have reviewed, regardless of genre, regardless of anything else, all on one fantastic list. If you want to see it for yourself, you can do so by checking the episode description, where it's linked to my Letterboxd.
Let's see.
Keeps signing me out of Letterboxd. I'm upset.
Really?
You know what it is? At some point I was signed
I don't
out,
think
and I
I-
need to press remember me next time. Nathaniel, remind me next week.
Are you looking at it on a laptop or on a phone?
I am. I've wondered this before. How my
You are what? Laptop?
I'm
or
on
phone?
Yeah,
I'm
laptop.
laptop. I'm laptop letterboxed, where I see the list in this form,
Sure.
and you guys see it in
And
movie
in
poster form.
grid form. Yeah.
Correct. And I've wondered how that affects our thoughts on rankings, if that plays
Probably
into it. at all.
does.
In some ways, I'm
Yeah.
sure it does. I don't know how
Yeah.
much.
I
or how
look at
heavily,
it
but-
sometimes on my laptop, though, occasionally.
Yeah,
But yeah, for the
I
most
like
part,
it
though,
much
usually
better
just
than
like
looking at the
on the
movie
phone, pull it up.
posters. There was one time I had to look at the movie posters. I was like, oh, this is what they do every week? Why?
For sure. For sure.
All right.
This is kind of a toughie.
This is a toughie.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I look at like Straight Outta Compton,
Yeah,
and
yep.
like I think Straight Outta Compton is better than this, but like I think this is better than Eternals.
Oh yeah.
Better Black Widow. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm like,
Yeah.
now I kind of go. I gotta go back up,
Yeah, no,
and then because like this doesn't like, yeah, I mean I probably watched this before I watched *Malignant* for sure, but
That's a good movie.
see the
bro.
thing that I keep running into is the Screams 5 and 6, and like Evil Dead Rise and like The Descent. That's the ones where
Yeah.
like I don't know, maybe my horror movie, like for me those are better horror movies, so that's like screwing me up a little bit, where this is more of a comedy. But even then, like this is a toughie.
I think this is
Yeah,
going to
like-
go lower than I want it to.
Correct. Yeah, it's also hard not to like I feel like we've all kind of like been pretty positive on this movie. We're all gonna like slot it.
yeah, just to get
Lower.
buried.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just because it's not that. Yeah, it's gonna get buried in quotes, but then like buried
Like the- yeah,
means
that's
it's on
also-
top. Or it's below all of these heavy duty ringers that we just want to review
Right.
and talk about because they're good movies.
Yeah,
and
top-
it's
That's
a
like
stacked list.
that's the genre too. Like when you split genres like that, you're kind
Yeah.
of opening yourself up to a much wider variety
Right.
of movies I have to look at now.
Absolutely.
Also, I feel like the top like 45 on here are like generational movies and movies trying to be generational movies. Where this
Yeah.
one, to its credit, knows what it's doing and where it wants to be as well too, and doesn't take itself too seriously.
It's not shooting for number one. you know?
Correct. Yeah.
It's not shooting for number one.
So, but I think that also brings into it as well too. Man.
I'm at 102.
Okay, 102.
Yeah, if I didn't have like things like Descent above Straight Outta Compton,
Yeah.
like that would probably change like where I'm at. But like Descent's a fucking stupid good movie.
Yeah. Tenet's right there
But
too.
like Evil Dead Rises kind of was like meh.
Yeah, I'm sorry to laugh, but yeah, I'm looking at trying to place this myself. So I looked at Men. I was like, okay, it's like
Yeah,
how do I
bro.
feel
Fuck.
about Men? And I looked at the reviews for that, and I clicked the reviews, and the first review for Men is 2.5 stars, and the view it's just internet funny to me by all means. It's like this was so scary. I'm glad British people don't exist in.
Oh, that's good.
They are completely false.
Oh my god.
But yeah, good spot though, Ty. I think 102 is fair. So that's below Straight Outta Compton, or above Straight Outta Compton, below.
Below Straight Outta Compton.
Okay.
I'm 103. I like Blind Spotting more than this.
Okay.
That's
Interesting.
fair. I'm actually gonna go 101.
Ooh, 101.
Below Descent.
So you're
above.
putting this over Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah, Straight Outta Compton, while it is a good movie,
Has its flaws.
well, not even that. It's just like I think I'm more geared like biopics just don't interest me that much.
You just connect different. Yeah.
And I would rather take like Blake talked about this earlier, but like with the cinematography in this movie, yeah, there's nothing that's like particularly
They're not trying to
innovative.
change the world.
Yeah, there's nothing particularly innovative with it, but there is
Yeah.
something also like comforting about a guy that knows how to shoot a movie from a
Right.
tripod.
Right.
Where
Yeah.
like where you
100%.
don't have to follow every character in a long one-er shot, or like the camera doesn't have to free flow around the cabin or anything like that so much. Like
That's not the goal of this movie.
yeah, there is
And,
something comforting about just someone competently shooting a movie as well too.
100% agree.
So yeah, that being said, 101 is where I'm gonna have this guy. Below The Descent, above Straight Outta Compton. And I think for viewers' context, my horror movie roots are really tilting me on this one as well too. Like even though it does open itself up to that, like I can't have this above the Descent.
Part of the game.
No, I mean I'm totally on board for that as well. The Descent is way too low on there, fellas. So yeah, I mean looking at this, I think I'm in the same ballpark as you all, though. I think I'd probably lean at 102. So I think I like it more than Men. Not even think. I like it. I believe I like it more than Blind Spotting. Between this and Straight Outta Compton's a little bit of toss up to me. Straight Outta Compton isn't my favorite genre, similar to Nathaniel, and it's just not as easy of a watch. This is an hour and 30 minutes. Straight Outta Compton 2:35. You know what I mean? So just
I was
in
gonna
terms
say
of
if it was like a
something
half
on.
hour shorter, it'd be a lot.
For
A lot
sure.
easier.
So yeah, I think I'll roll 102 though.
All right. That gives us an average rating of 102.
There you go.
So it splits the difference here between Straight Outta Compton and Blind Spotting.
There you are, folks.
There you are, folks. I don't. Never mind. Actually, I forgot what I was going to say.
Okay.
Feels like.
What did you just say?
I didn't say anything,
I
but
was singing- I
Tyler
was singing
said.
a song.
Tyler, what were you saying?
he was singing.
I was singing. Do you know what it feels like?
For a second, I thought you were trying to get that one song stuck in my head from earlier, but don't say what it is because I already forgot it and I don't want to know.
It's.
Did you forgot too, didn't you?
This land is your land.
No, but
No,
the
I
one
know what it
after
is.
that. The one after that. Okay.
I know what it is.
please,
but
please
You
refrain.
asked me not to say it,
Thank
so I'm
you.
not gonna say it.
Thank you. Next week's review. This is not a thing. We're canceling the podcast. Just kidding, ladies and gentlemen. Quite the opposite. We're celebrating the podcast. 3 years. 3 years next week.
3 whole years. Calendar years.
Calendar years. Yes.
Thrice anniversary.
That's well. Have we had a leap year in between the start of the pod and now? No, right? Because it was 2020.
Yeah.
And then now
2020
2024.
would have
So
been
we
the
could just
leap
do
year.
we can just do a straight 365 times 3. That's 1,095 days
Of Back Row Banter.
that Back Row Banter has existed out there in the public. That's a lot of days. That's a lot of reviews. And we're going to have a lot of fun next week. We're going to do a fun ep. I don't know exactly what yet. I'm going to workshop some ideas. We all are going to workshop some ideas. And we'll come back with a fun ep next week. probably something in line with what we've done in past anniversary eps. I know Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny is coming out next week. Nathaniel's going to see it, and he's going to review it for all of you. He'll talk about it next week.
Bit of sizzle.
But yeah, join us for that. That'll be fun ep. And then we'll get back to reviews the week after that. I don't know with what yet. We're coming up on the it's the solar eclipse of cinema.
Okay.
Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Yes.
On July 21st.
Mm.
A once in a generational event. Be there or forever regret it. You got to be in the theaters.
I think
July
I start.
21st.
Do you start your day with Oppenheimer, or do you start your day with? Barbie?
I have heard Oppenheimer is a horror movie, and that people leave the theater devastated.
I've been seeing that on Reddit too.
Yes,
so that's something
so,
I did kind of want to.
So I don't know the answer to that. Do you go to Oppenheimer first and then go to Barbie to feel better, or do you go to Barbie so you don't come into Barbie feeling horrible? Like, do you not prime yourself? And that because I'm worried Oppenheimer will prime my Barbie experience.
So I think you start your day 10 a.m. Oppenheimer, just starting out nice and easy. Then it's a Christopher Nolan movie, so you'll get out at 2:00. And
after previews, that tracks. Yeah.
And then similarly question your life, and if you have become death, the destroyer of worlds. Eat like an AMC hot dog, which will kill you. And then,
I'd rather be nuked.
And then
and cost $22.
Old wizard fingers.
It's gonna nuke my wallet.
Yep. And then watch Barbie as your body both reacts to the AMC hot dog and Oppenheimer, and you enter a new plane of existence, and you start to think you are a
Barbie doll.
A doll in a Barbie world. And,
maybe we all kind of are,
That way you'll move from the true cinema experience of Oppenheimer and then transcend into Barbiedom, which is, I think, how we all want to go.
Right, yeah. If I pass away peacefully, maybe not July 21st, but at some point in my life when I do pass away, if it's watching the Barbie movie from 2023, sometime in the near future.
Just Margot Robbie
far future.
Grabs you by the hand and takes you.
Exactly, yeah. What better way to be guided into the afterlife?
The dream house in the sky.
By being taken by Margot Robbie.
Hard to argue with, folks.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of a better way, can you?
I mean,
I'd rather get picked up in a car by Ryan.
That would work too.
Yeah, I'll take either one. Actually, I'll take either one, but it has to be the car from Drive.
But that's the,
Oh, no, I want the Barbie Corvette.
That's what happens.
Or the Barbie Corvette.
That's what happens when you die from too much cinema. Is
Yeah.
that one of them? One of them
or both
takes
of
you
them.
to the
Or
afterlife.
both of them. You just hop in the back seat. We're going on a little trip.
You are escorted to the afterlife by a spectral rendition of either Ryan Gosling or Margot Robbie.
I'd follow that religion.
There you go, folks.
There you go. What we're watching here, folks. It's a little late. Do we want to do what we did last week? Go around and give one thing.
Sure.
All right, cool. Nathaniel, kick us off.
I got to the first episode of Black Mirror, season 6.
Me and Blake were talking about it at the store.
Yeah,
I have not watched any of it yet.
Have we all watched this?
I've not.
No, I didn't watch.
If you guys want to do a spoilers, you guys go ahead.
One episode.
The first.
No, I don't want to do spoilers. I don't want to make you guys go off, but we could just briefly touch on it, and then when you guys catch up, we can obviously have little powwows.
Sure, go for it.
Yeah, this first episode has a lot of big names in it, and I think
Salma Hayek episode, right?
Yeah, it is, and I think illustrates Charlie Brooker's big talent as a writer, which is that he can shift genre to genre, tone to tone very easily and bring you along as a viewer the whole time. Where that first one shifts from kind of funny to horrifying to back to funny again to absurd to just insane, and you're along the ride the whole time, and it's a great first step. So
killer.
Yeah, I was like, damn, Black Mirror's back, baby, and haven't watched any other episodes yet. So
Yeah. So I also got around to this. Are you done? Is that you want to just?
Yeah, that'll be my one.
Bet. So yeah, I also got around to Black Mirror. Unlike Nathaniel, I watched the first one and had to fucking just
keep going.
My eyes were fucking glued. So I finished it already.
All episodes?
And all episodes.
Oh man.
And go sit down and watch. Just watch, please. For look, this is first season was like so good for me. I loved first season. Like I want to go back and watch first season like all the time. Like it blew my mind. And then second season still killed it, but I thought first season was better. This season is insane.
Yeah, I've heard I feel like there was definitely a drop in quality when Netflix took over. Like it was originally a BBC series, right? And then Netflix took over, and then
Bandersnatch happened.
well, yes, but then from what
Make me forget.
the internet film chatter has been is that this season is like a return to the British era seasons overall.
Okay.
The BBC era seasons
Okay,
overall.
that's
so,
good news then.
I've heard good things.
It rivals.
Because
It's damn close.
those first 3 seasons were on a roll. That was must watch. That if there's must watch show, it was must watch. Can't say TV. I mean, even that's a TV show, but it was must watch streaming. It was must binge.
It's definitely my vote. It's got my vote for anybody. I've literally been talking about it to anybody that'll probably listen to me.
I'll get around to it pretty soon here.
So please go watch it.
I'll get back
I
to you.
love how much it walks the line too between just horror and just pitch dark comedy. Like it is so like the satire and it is
well,
so
Nathaniel,
biting.
where is the line between horror and comedy?
Oh.
Because some would say it's the music.
But yeah, it's amazing. Good stuff.
Blake, what have you been watching?
I actually got to an episode of Black Mirror as well, so in the story, but I didn't watch the first episode. Wasn't really sure wasn't even aware Black Mirror dropped. Just kind of saw some things. Then Instagram saw. So I was like, okay, you know what? Black Mirror is one of the shows where I'm almost positive I've seen every episode right in real time when they were coming, especially those 3 seasons, 2016 or something like that.
Sure.
And kind of so on and so forth. So then I saw the new season. I was like, okay, let me go ahead and kind of some of these. And then I think it's the 3rd episode, either 3rd or 4th episode. But the snip has Zessie Beats in there. And Zessie Beats is somebody I've been on here.
I was gonna say this is like one of these.
Favorite show. For sure, bro. So I seen that and I was like audibly like, oh shit, they got Zessie Beats on here. And like whatever I was doing was like done for the day. It's like I'm watching the episode right now.
I've heard
What a great episode.
I've heard
it was cool. Yeah, not my favorite episode, but it was good. It was good, man. I liked it a lot. And that's like the very like whole element in me too. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was I would recommend it for sure. I could only imagine the other episodes. From what I've seen, it seems like the big hitters are the Salma Hayek episode. I think there's the 2 people who go outer space. They're like astronauts.
Not sure.
Right? Is that an episode as well, Ty?
I don't want to say anything.
Okay.
You know,
fair enough. But that's just kind of the rumblings
from,
I've seen are that those 2 are the best episodes. Right. But I still did like the Zessie Beats and the photography one. Awesome.
Yeah, it's all really, really, really fun. If you've enjoyed any of the other seasons, you'll have a lot of fun with this for sure.
Yeah,
and
sure. I'll dig into it.
You said Nathaniel said the first episode was just jam packed with cast. They're all like that, which is cool because you really get to see a lot of these other potential high end actors and actresses just like fit into some of these smaller parts because they have so much less time. But like, it's good.
It seems like a show that people want to be involved in.
Yeah,
like
100%.
They get the call or they hear the opportunity. They're like, oh yeah, I'll do that.
Fuck yeah. Adam?
Yeah, I haven't gotten to much. Got a Halo tournament this weekend, so I've just been doing a lot of that. I watched Taylor Tomlinson's comedy special.
Don't know
She's a relatively new stand-up comedian. She's gotten pretty popular. She's kind of like an early on, like she was already coming up, and then TikTok happened, and comedians started using TikTok to post like clips from their shows and stuff. And so she was already coming up and kind of rode that wave. to the point where now she's got her own comedy special.
Gotcha.
I had seen like probably half of the special in TikTok clips, but I hadn't seen it all the way through, and I wanted to do her justice because every time I watch those clips, I'm dying laughing. She has such good bits. So I wanted to watch it all the way through. So I put that on. That's on Netflix. Really good. One of actually the better comedy specials I've seen in the past couple of years, I would say. And then Breaking Point, the tennis Drive to Survive version. It's back with the second half of the season. I think the first half was 6 episodes, and now this is the second 6, something like that. Or 5 and 5, maybe. I think it's 5 and 5. But yeah, the second half of the season, which covers the last 2 majors of the year, which is Wimbledon and the U.S. Open. The second half of that is out, and the timing of it is convenient because guess what's coming up in a couple weeks? It's Wimbledon. In fact, I don't know. Does that start next week? It might start next week. Pretty sure it does.
Wimble who?
Shut up.
Wimbledon.
Shut up. But yeah, I watched the first episode of that. Pretty good. Pretty good. I like that show a lot. I don't know if it will do for tennis what it did for Drive to Survive. Just in the way they're handling it. Drive to Survive is part of it that was so gripping is they have so much great on track action from cameras on all of the cars and everything like that. And it's not that I'm asking for a camera on the net itself, which is something they have already. That they have like a little broadcast cam that's at the tip of the net that you can, they do have that camera, which I'm pretty sure they could probably get access to. I'm not asking
instead of like pit stops, it's like ball girls and boys.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Yeah,
They've got GoPros on. Yeah, exactly. But like they just don't show. They show like the ends of rallies, and they show like a good serve, and like they just clip all these matches together. Where like I want to see the action of that match. Show me an entire rally. Show me a dramatic rally. Show me then it going back and forth, and they kind of just they'll sum up a 5-set match in about 4 minutes a lot of the times. And it's just frustrating. It's like, show me the actual action of the sport. All you're giving me is background on these players, which I love and I think is great. And honestly might be better than Drive to Survive in some ways when it comes to those aspects because they go way more personal than I think Drive to Survive
Pump
goes
your
sometimes.
brakes. No, I'm just kidding.
Good pun there. I like that one.
Thanks.
Yeah. I think they have automatic brakes, but, same thing applies.
Aren't all brakes automatic?
ABS, automatic brake system. You used to have to pump them, didn't you?
Yeah, but that's like not in these cars. Are you crazy? Of course they're automatic.
That's what I'm saying. They wouldn't pump them. They just press it once. Anyway, I want more on-court action. That's what I'm asking for. And I think that would get more people excited for it because if you don't play tennis, I've kind of said this before. If you don't play tennis, it's hard for you to grasp like why it's entertaining to watch because you don't really fully understand and grasp what it is that they have to do. You have to master your serve, volley, backhand, forehand, lobs,
Drink
overheads.
suspicious fluids from the crowd.
I did see that TikTok. If you don't know what Tyler's referencing, or not TikTok, that clip. But if you don't know what Tyler's referencing, what was that from? I think that was from
I don't know,
U.S. Open last year.
You're like the only person.
It was from
yeah.
It was from a major last year, where Novak Djokovic's coaching box in camp were like suspiciously like sitting weirdly to block a guy who like you could already see was like dumping something in a water bottle and like leaning over and like shakes it up and then hands it to the ball girl who then goes and hands it to Novak Djokovic, and it's just like, all right, that was the most blatant thing I've ever seen, and someone got the whole thing on camera. But I don't know if anything ever came of that. But that's what Tyler's referencing there. But
I know things.
Yeah. But regardless, I think Breaking Point's great, and I think everyone should check it out. Even if you're not a fan of tennis, you might become one.
Who knows?
All right. Everyone went around, yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Glad I'm the only person who didn't watch Black Mirror. I'll get around. I'll get around to it. Nathaniel, do we have a 5-star review?
We don't have a 5-star review, but if you want to give us a 5-star review, folks, in app and Apple Podcasts, it helps us out, helps us grow, helps us show up in the algorithm as a popular podcast. So if you want to give us a 5-star review, what we will do for you is read out that 5-star review here on the podcast, but has to be 5 stars. Can't do anything less. Sorry. You can be nice. You can be funny. You can be mean. Just don't be evil. And yeah, Adam.
Yeah, as well as giving us a review. Make sure you share the podcast. Share it with a friend, a family member, a black friend, or a black family member.
Either or. They will work
Does
too.
that count? Yeah. There's not much more else I can go with this movie.
Your friends from college 10 years ago?
Ah, there you go. Your friends from college from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The one who...
Make sure you invite that guy.
Yeah, make sure you invite that guy. Is that spoilers? Should I cut that out?
Maybe.
Yeah. I'll bleep it out.
There you
Damn, I
go.
hate making more work for myself, but I do it all the time.
Just fucking leave it.
Nah, I don't, we gotta,
If they haven't seen it, they won't know. It'll
That's
just
the
read now they're gonna know.
That's the
Now
thing
it's
is,
in here
is
talking
now
about.
they're gonna know. Whatever. Yeah, go ahead, share the podcast. While you're at it, follow us on Twitter at Banter Row, on Instagram at Back Row Banter Pod, on YouTube or just Back Row Banter, and our Instagram, our email for any questions, comments, concerns, grievances, anything of that sort. Let us know. Give us your feedback. That's backrowbanterpod@gmail.com. BlakeHolder, where can the people
Yo.
find you at, my man?
Letterboxd, the BlakeHolder. I'll be on there logging some things, rating them out of 5 stars. The usual. So yeah, Letterboxd.
Oh, man. We lost it big time, that one. Oh, okay. Letterboxd BlakeHolder, is that what you were
That's it.
saying?
Correct.
Okay.
No, so I will be dropping the PM.
Oh, he's in and out bad. Blake, can you hear us?
Man down.
Now his video's frozen too. His Letterboxd is BlakeHolder. I think he said he's going to probably drop a review for this movie. Is that what he was saying?
We'll say yes.
Okay.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Now we can. Yeah, you cut out bad for a second,
Okay.
internet-wise.
Don't worry. We took care of it for you, though.
Yeah, BlakeHolder on Letterboxd, and you're going to drop a review for the Blackening. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Cool. I don't know who goes next. Tyler, you want to go next? Yeah, you can go.
Sure.
Ty?
Just Letterboxd, Instagram, and Twitter, all type of Alice, VIDLES. Nathaniel.
You can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at @NSGangrick. You can find me on Instagram, Nathaniel G92, Sandpiper Taste, other podcast. Not Tyler. Adam.
You can find me on Twitter at Aish24, on Letterboxd at Aish, and on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Aish. I miss streaming. And I think...
Well, you can do it again at some
I
point,
can.
bud.
I can, yeah. I want better internet. It's not that my internet's bad, but it's hard to game and stream at the same time sometimes,
It's true.
Yeah.
First world problems.
Truly. That's one of the biggest first world problems, period. Anyway, thank you all for listening, especially if you made it this far into the episode. You're my favorite type of listener, and we really do appreciate it. We'll see you guys next week for our 3-year anniversary episode. We'll BRB.
Be excellent to each other, everyone, and we will BRB.
Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate everything that you can and will do for us to help us grow. Because if we grow, you grow. So we grow.
In height, like if you're like 5'2" and you want to get taller, just share the podcast.
Yeah, true.
That's how that works.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, because eventually we'll get advertisements for like snake oils, and then you can buy them and then get taller.
Podcast downloads through the roof.
Through the roof, man.
True. And yeah, just, spread love. And we'll BRB.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for the support as always. We wouldn't be the podcast if it wasn't for you. Yes, that's you individually. So, thanks a lot. We appreciate it, and we'll BRB.
America. Ready for another lesson.
Every now and then, TikTok hits on a pretty good trend. The grimace shake ones are fucking amazing.
Yeah, they are. They're good.
They're
The
like-
grimace trend is
They are just tailor made for my shit too, and I'm really appreciating them.
Yeah, the grimace shake has been good. I don't know if you've seen the make ba TikTok sound yet.
No,
but it haunts me.
I can only assume that song seems tailor-made for TikTok, though.
Oh,
in
it's
some ways.
perfect, and I'm so
Like,
glad everyone's enjoying it because it's low-key a good song. But as any Best Buy employee will know, from 2018 to 2020, that song it haunts me.
It's true.
I heard it for the first time on TikTok, and I was like, please no, please.
It's just one that,
please,
like, yeah.
please don't take
Looking
off.
back on it
Please
now,
don't take off. I
we
scrolled to
should
the next
have. We
video.
should have
and
known.
we
should have known.
We should have known.
It's really is just.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I really hope this isn't a thing, and then I scrolled, and it's the very next video is the same song. I'm like, fuck, I'm effed. This is gonna be the next month of my life, and it has been.
Were you effed in your A, man?
No comment.